Hello again, everyone. This is my second clip of this chapter. I would like to continue from the previous point and start from micro-social factor again, which focus on interpersonal interaction. Based on Vygotsky, his series entitled Socio-Cultural Theory essay claimed that interaction not only facilitates language learning but is a causative force in acquisition. Further, all of learning is seen as essentially a social process which is grounded in social cultural setting. Due to his theory, learning happens when the simple innate mental activities are transformed into higher order thinking, more complex mental function. This typical um, this typically involve symbolic mediation, okay, which is a link between a person's current mental state and higher order function that is provided by language. Because of this, Vygotsky he introduces the term ZPD. In full, we call zone of proximal development, which is an area of potential development where the learner can achieve the potential only with the intervention of assistant. Mental functions that are beyond an individual current level must be performed in line with the collaboration with other people before they are achieved independently or they can work by themselves. With reference to ZPD, we need to get an introduction to know about another term is scaffolding. Actually, scaffolding was also introduced. It means verbal guidance or chant of talk provided by an expert in order to have a learner to perform any specific task. For example, the scaffolding provided by a teacher to his or her student, especially the slow learner. Next is about intrapersonal interaction, communication that occur within an individual's own mind. For intrapersonal interaction, it covers like private speech and inner speech, also private writing. For private speech, it can be the self-talk, which many children in a particular engage, while inner speech is the self-talk that more mature individuals use in order to control their own thought and behavior or self-regulation, etc. For private speech, it can be the spoken to oneself for any communication. Actually, it can be with the similar function like inner speech, everyone, in order to enhance their self-guidance, in order to regulate their behavior. Normally, for private speech, for children between 2 or 3 years old up to 7 years old. Actually, we have only a tiny difference between private speech and inner speech. Normally, for private speech, it happens by being overt. Okay? It means that it's not secret for private speech that the children they express it in public, but for inner speech, it is in secret that they talk to themselves innerly, but they have to sharpen their behavior, increase their self-regulation, likewise to private speech. For example, like the following utterance: I see a elephant, elephant. Okay? I want I pepper, pepper. I want pepper. What I was reading is just the statement showing to you, but this statement, it happened innately, okay, in the form of inner speech or private speech by the children when they have their way of self-talk, everyone. Next is about acquisition without interaction, okay? Interaction without acquisition. Some individuals are able, in order to achieve a relatively advanced level of L2 proficiency, second language proficiency, without the benefit of any interpersonal communication or opportunity in order to negotiate meaning in the language with other people. Some individuals also engage in much interaction or extensive interaction with speaker of another language without learning that language to any significant degree. That's why, to sum up from these two premises, acquisition is can be with interaction, okay? Without interaction, or interaction is possible with no acquisition as well. Now I would like to process to another main topic is micro social factor after we have finished micro social factor already. For micro social factor, they are relevant to issue how identity, status, and values influence second language outcome and why. Specifically, the following key points will be discussed. You can see what I have listed here. The first one is global and national status of first and second language, L1 and L2, boundaries and identities, institutional forces and constraints, social categories, and circumstances of learning. Now we will go into detail from one to one. Let's begin from global and national status of first and second language, L1 and L2. Language have power and status at global and national level for not only symbolic but also practical reason. An important symbolic function of language is known as political identification and cohesion. Okay, so cohesion here, it refers to the connection, okay, in unity of a nation, everyone. For example, like USA, like Israel. For USA, English language, okay, itself has the superpower and the status, okay, that English is dominant and become the official language in United States of America, okay, with the identification of politics and the national unity as well. Israel, one of the language that is official one in order to promote the political identification and the national cohesion is Hebrew language. Because in Israel, it has diversity in terms of culture, in terms of linguistic. That's why Hebrew become the dominant one that It can be used widely, okay, for different domain in this country. Continue with micro-social factor. Second language or L2 have also served political function in time of conquest and empire building. Okay? For example, like Norman, okay, conquest on Great Britain. Okay, um, because of this, French language, okay, it served one of the political functions, okay, during that time because of the influence of the Norman in GB or Great Britain. Colonial expansion to Africa and Asia, okay, um, for example, by applying and promoting more English language, okay, for political region and function. Post World War II or Second World War, domination by Soviet, okay, to Eastern Europe. That's why is one of the reasons that's pushing, okay, Russian language, okay, in order to serve the dominant one. So from my given example here, okay, second language, okay, it serves as the critical one for using widely in any place because of the conquest. Okay, we can see the need for second language learning at the global level that is motivated largely by control of and access to resources in area of commerce, business, okay, and IT transfer. Opportunities and motivation for second language learning, L2 learning, depend on its relative power or status, whether symbolic or practical. This usually cannot be separated from the relative economic or military power or status of the society that it represents. For example, like the more interest in learning Chinese language as second language, what we can make prediction it can be association with the increase of the booming of economic status of China globally, okay? Like the case of Cambodia, like the case of some more countries that there are a number of Chinese investors, okay, flowing in order to start their businesses, companies, or in that country. Therefore, the language will become popular as well for the job opportunity, employment chance with high salary and promoting the economy of that country as well. Next is about boundaries and identities. um, the identity function of language is accomplished by creating or reinforcing national boundaries. But linguistic boundaries often also exist within or across national boundaries. They serve both to unify speaker as member of one language community and to exclude outsider from insider communication. For example, like Hebrew in Israel and English in Nigeria. The two cases of the two nations, Nigeria and Israel, let us learn about the identity of the function of language by pushing or making stronger in terms of national boundaries. Like Hebrew in Israel, like what I aforementioned claim, We could say for the culturally and linguistic diverse that we need to have one language, okay, to push across the national boundaries. So Hebrew has become dominantly acted as the official language that the people in Israel they need to follow and use it for communication and other purposes. And English as well in the same case. Okay, English can become official, let's say, popular language. Okay, for unifying the speaker, okay, of Nigerian people in their community. Okay, language communities may also reinforce their boundaries by discouraging prospective second language learner by holding and conveying the attitude that their language is too difficult or inappropriate for others to use. For example, like the refusal of Spanish conqueror in Mexico in order to teach the Castilian language to native Indian populations. Crossing a linguistic boundary to participate in another language community and to identify or be identified with it require learning that language. It is both a necessary tool for participation and a bench which allow passage. Full participation also commonly require learning the culture of that community and adapting to those values and behavioral pattern. For this one, we can call acculturation. Acculturation in short as well, you can say this can be the assimilation, okay, to the other culture. Institutional forces and constraints. Many social institutions they involve power, authority, and influence related to language acquisition (LA). The forces and constraints, specifically language related control, determination of access to knowledge, and other instances of linguistic privilege or discrimination. One form is the official or unofficial policies that regulate which language is to be used in any specific situation, that is, the national language. Access to education may also be limited for minority language speakers, since or because entry to those institutions often require applicants to display or show competence in proper language usage. Therefore, wealth and social status may determine opportunities for acquisition of an L2 or second language. Next is about social categories. People they are categorized according to many socially relevant dimensions. For example, in terms of dimension of age, sex, ethnicity, educational level, occupation, and economic status. Such categorization often influences what experiences they have, how they are perceived or thought by the other people, and what is expected of them. In terms of dimension of age, young second language learner or L2 learner are more likely to acquire the language in naturalistic setting than a formal classroom context. Naturalistic setting it happen informally. For example, you can go to approach the reality by communicating directly with the native speaker or L1 language user, for example. They are more likely to use the L2 in highly contextualized face-to-face situation rather than the contextualized academic one. In terms of dimension of sex, male learners have more opportunities in order to develop their language outside of the classroom, while female learners they were restricted to mostly only classroom for certain reason because of the chance that they provide for male in order to work, in order to communicate in society can be wider than the chance of the female one, that it depends. In terms of dimension of ethnicity, also an important role in second language acquisition, primarily because of socially constructed attitude from within native and target communities as a result of historic or current intergroup relation related to social boundaries and identity. You can see like the fair here European versus Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, that it can be due to the intergroup relation, okay, that it with the existence of the historic topic or concern, okay, that it lead to social boundaries or identities as well. Perception of more or less privilege, okay, is additive bilingualism and subtractive bilingualism. In terms of additive bilingualism, okay, as you are aware, bilingualism it refers to the use of a modern one language, okay, that we have L1 and L2 for our learning and uses. For additive bilingualism, okay, this is where the member of a dominant group learn the language of a subordinate group without threat to their first language or L1. Okay, for this one, it can be without threat to their first language in terms of the L1 competency and even their L1 identity. For subtractive bilingualism, it's when the subordinate group they learned any dominant language as their second language, okay, and likely to experience loss of ethnicity, okay, or even loss of their first language skill. Okay, so it means that dominant language or popular language, okay, when learned, okay, used as L2 language, it seems without any threat, okay, or any loss, that can be the privilege status of two cases here in terms of additive and subtractive bilingualism, like the case of English language, for example, that it can be the case of additive bilingualism. Next is circumstances of learning. The first one is about cognitive style that we have between field dependent and field independent. Actually, for cognitive style of the two aspect here, for field dependent, it happened to the student, especially from rural area, okay, and field independent, it can be from the student, okay, with a background from urban area like the city. Okay, we could see that fear dependent, which happen to rural area, when we refer specifically to the group of students that they come from a lower status, okay, or their living standard can be limited or low, while for independent group of students they come from affluent family, okay, or well-to-do family. That's why for the chant or eagering aspect in order to find the information can be different too. For the group of fear dependent, so they are in the group of student that they need to depending on or claiming more information, okay, because the lack of information in order to support themselves. But for fear independent, okay, in terms of the information, it look okay for them that they have no worry about the information chasing in order to enhance their learning. Next is about culture-based learning strategies. For this one, it can be like the case of memorization of Chinese student and other Asian student. Chinese students classically they depended on their learning via memorization. That's why when Chinese students they continue to study at the Western university, okay, after having background learning in their own homeland, China, they are good at humoristic study, okay, for example like mathematics or L, because they got familiar with the way of learning based on memorization or rote learning, okay. But on the top of this, okay, they can be with the problem in case of having no background of learning memorization, okay. So what would happen to them, okay? That's why they would lack of ability in order to apply the learning style or learning strategy, okay, that what I mentioned in terms of memorization is one of the culture based, okay, in order to promote their way of learning by remembering. Next is situational circumstances, okay. It can be the informal versus formal and naturalistic and instructed. This one for informal, okay, and naturalistic, it can be the case of exposure to the real environment, okay, especially in the community of bilingualism, okay, that you need to go to approach the natural opportunity for learning. For example, speaking, communicating directly with native speaker, okay, and you can learn informally as well. But for formal and instructed, it happened academically at the school, okay, that you got instruction, okay, and learn with academic content. Circumstances of learning. L2 learner who are major first language speaker or L1 speaker, often they have access only to foreign language program which offer second language or L2 as an academic subject, and give little opportunity for students to develop full communicative competence. Okay, thank you for your paying attention. Okay, good luck. And this is the last lesson of this online term of study. Okay, so try the best in order to review from what we have learned in the week one, and prepare yourself for the coming final exam. Good luck, everyone.